Now. All right, welcome everybody to the Wednesday, October 18th, 2017 meeting of Kubernetes SIG service catalog. We have recorded after 5 minutes of unrecorded time. I assure you nothing untoward happened. However, we have decided that the next SIG face-to-face meeting will be in Red Hat Tower Annex in Raleigh, North Carolina on Monday, November 27th. 2017. There will be a meeting request sent out for this later on this week. So I think, Doug, it's you now.
Okay. I pasted a link to the pull request 1354. This one is renaming a resource, or a set of properties, I should say, inside several different resources. We use the word external in front of things like service class name and service plan name. And I don't think that's really useful to end users because they really don't know what external refers to. Most people probably should not need to know that there's these external services that are being brought in by the service catalog. From their point of view, they're just services that this instance of Kubernetes makes available to them. Whether they're local, external, third party, don't know, don't care. So I don't think the word external really is very descriptive. So I was trying to find some other word to use there. And while doing that same change, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to put the word external in front. It made more sense to try to actually name the property, like cluster service class name, to be the same name as the property within the service class itself. And so after going back and forth a little with, I think, Null, we kind of landed on the word client instead of external. That way it doesn't conflict with the Kubernetes quote name. But it sort of, by using the word client, sort of implies this is more of a human-friendly client-usable name that you can either use on the command line if we have a kube plugin or in the YAML files. But anyway, it's more for the user or client to actually use rather than the GUID that appears in the real Kubernetes name. So if you actually look at the files, what you'll see is, let me paste a little example text here. The name appears like that for service class name. I'm sorry, for service plan name, it's now service plan client name, or cluster in this case, in front of it. Anyway, I think there's a big discussion about what name we want to use or word we want to use in there. So, Paul, your hand's up.
Sorry, I've become very distracted by an epic failure to share my screen properly.
I was wondering why you were laughing.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was bad, and then Jessica showed me what she had on her screen, and it was worse than what I thought was bad. So, sounds like a really good story, Doug.
Don't make me repeat it, please.
So, here's my own preference. I really like external name because I think it is the right amount of descriptive that it's a name that is from something else. I definitely think that provided that we keep external name, I think that we should, I think that the fields in service instance spec where the user puts the human readable name should be like cluster service class external name. Instead of, I think that right now, external cluster service class name.
Right, so, okay, let's split this up into two things.
This video may be edited before posting to YouTube, just for the record.
Okay, so let's split this thing up. First, there's where does the word external, client, or whatever word we come up with, where does that appear? I think what I'm hearing from both you and me is we'd like it to appear not at the beginning, not as a prefix, right? We want it to appear so it matches the property name, which is the word cluster in front, right?
So like if it's X name, I think the field where you record that on the service instance spec should be cluster service class X name.
Correct. If you look at the files, the very first change shows what we're talking about there. It moves the word in question to be near the middle, and it matches the real property name, right? I think Null pointed that out, and it makes more sense because that way, from user perspective, the proper name is the same word or string that's used in both places. So then the real question is, what word do we want to use there? And like I said, the problem I have with the word external is it means nothing to end users, because the service, they should not know where the service is hosted, and it very well could be local.
Are you saying that? Oh, sorry.
No one's hand up, Vila, go for it.
Okay, sorry. So I think what you're saying is that the external could imply to the user that it says where the service is running instead of the fact that the name is the external bit. Because I think Paul basically says this has nothing to do with Kubernetes names. So, I mean, the obvious name would be non-Kate's name. We should just call it that. But I think you're saying that the user could take that to mean that it implies something about the location of where the service is running. Is that the problem with the external?
Yeah. Basically, I don't know what the word external refers to. And you're right. As an end user, I think my first guess would be, oh, this thing's hosted someplace else. And that may or may not be true. Aaron?
So I like something client name or something external name or whatever other word. I like it not as a prefix and like you said, near the middle. As far as external versus client goes, I don't think either one is great. I don't have a better idea. So indifferent, I think the name of the game is just going to be, we have to document what it really means. That it's a human readable name. Otherwise, I mean, external client, you could make the argument for hours over, what does external mean to a user? What does client mean to a user? And we would just be guessing pretty much.
Yeah. So actually, I think you're on a very good. My hand's up next. I think you're on a very good point there. It's like, what does this name actually represent? And I think, Aaron, the way you described it is probably a fairly good description of it. It's the human readable name, and it's not really meant to represent location or anything like that. I mean, personally, I'd be okay with the word human, although I don't think that's quite the right phrase. It sounds a little bit weird. Client was the next best thing. The word external, though, is going to imply other meanings other than what we think we intend, which I think is what you described, which is it's just a human-friendly name. Go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, so I was not advocating for like human readable as a thing. So I just think whatever we do use, whatever word, hopefully short, that we use, we're going to have to document in Markdown files, Wiki, wherever we end up putting this. That this thing represents the human readable name, and you should keep that in mind as a user when you're writing up manifests. And really, beyond that, unless we go and interview users of each of our respective products that have service catalog integrated with them, which is not feasible before beta, unless we do some kind of interview or survey or whatever. My best guess is going to be different from your best guess, Doug, and I think it's probably better use our time to let's just figure out via a vote what's the least bad option and then move forward from there. That's my recommendation.
Okay. Vile?
So friendly. Can we just call it friendly name?
I prefer that over external. I can go for almost anything over external.
Okay. Well, so we definitely
I'm
should
seeing a
vote
lot
on
of
this.
wrinkled faces in the room I'm in, by the way, to that name.
Okay, angry. Okay, how about angry name?
Angry would be fantastic.
Okay. No, I guess what I would like, I agree with Aaron, in the sense that just all of these are kind of wonky. We should also go ahead and choose one soon so that we can ship this thing. I think the cost of choosing a not so terrible name is not the worst thing ever, as long as we document it.
So Paul, just like curiosity, you seem to like the word external. Can I ask why?
I like it because my middle name is external and it reminds me of myself.
Now that I believe.
I like it because it's a name. It's not a Kubernetes name, and it is a it's a name that is given to us, but that we can't use right now, or that we might not use. I don't know. Honestly, I think that this might be one of those cases where it's like it's subjective at the end, and there are probably many different choices that would be equally terrible. Like that would make sense to some people, and other people think this is really bad. So just my 2 cents.
Okay. Michael, your hand's up.
Damn it. Start.
God. Paul, you got to edit this one. I heard you for a second there swearing, Michael.
This may just get a textual representation in YouTube.
It's my headset's not working, so I'll just have to do it in. Okay.
The only
can hear you now.
meeting you have to be 18 to click on.
Sorry about that. So I agree 100% with Aaron. I think ultimately it's we're not going to have a perfect name, and we just need to settle on something. I do like it with the adjective being closer in. I worry about client name because that sounds to me like the name of a client, as like external name sounds like it's the external name of something. Client name sounds like it's client's name. So I think there's just ambiguity there. So I'd personally prefer external or maybe alias.
What do people think? Yeah, Jay was suggesting alias in the chat. What do people think about that? Now, Jay, just for clarity, are you saying alias name or just alias?
Yeah, I was actually thinking also known as, but I don't know. I guess just alias.
Paul, you just don't like anything.
You're not wrong.
I think alias is actually kind of interesting, personally. Go ahead, Aaron.
So I think we should come up with something today. Guess that wasn't out of it.
I agree with that.
So you don't understand. I have a phone call. I have another phone call in like 40 minutes. I'm just delaying until that next phone call.
Well, if we can't come up with something by 2 Pacific, we're going to have my last name in there, and everyone is going to have to learn how to spell Schlesinger.
Oh, God.
Keep that in mind.
I'd like to hear from some of the quieter people.
Vile has his hand up.
Oh, Vile, sorry.
I'm one of the quiet people. So it wouldn't be alias name, right? We replace the name with the alias.
I think so, yeah.
I just want to make sure that.
Well, so hold on a minute, just because sometimes when people actually look at something for real, it sometimes looks different. So it would probably look like that.
Right. Okay.
I think that's probably one of the most descriptive names we've come up with. Does anybody except Paul have a big objection to that? I'm just curious. Aaron. I have a friend whose last name is Parzignath. I think we should go with something like that too. It's just as difficult to spell. Good Polish name. We have more than one Michael. I bet if everybody just votes on their own name, Michael would win. Go ahead, Aaron.
So can I propose a vote?
Yeah, we should probably just do that. What are we going to choose between? External and alias? Are those the two top vote getters right now?
It sounds like we've got those on the table. Do we still have client on the table? I guess client name on the table.
Yeah, I wouldn't object to it, but I'm leaning more and more towards alias the more I think about it. But if someone else wants client, I'm okay with either one of those.
Okay, so we've got alias.
Sorry to interrupt. I don't think client is meaningful at all, personally.
Okay.
So we've got external name and we've got alias on the table. I'll write them out. Doug, do you mind if I do this vote?
No, I'm not running the meeting. I'm heavily distracted, so go for it.
All right, I'm going to write them out in chat. We've got cluster service class external name and cluster service class alias. And same thing for cluster service plan. Those will be the two options. Anyone disagree? Want to add other options? Going once. All right. So all those in favor for the first one, cluster service class external name, please put a plus vote into the chat right now. That was not me voting for it, by the way. 1 for external, 2 for external, 3, 4 for external, 5 for external. Going once. Anybody else for external name? Okay, we've got 5 for external name. I'm just going to write that down. Okay, I'm not going to be voting, FYI. So now we're going to switch to voting for alias. So again, put plus vote in the chat if you like alias. Starting now. 1. Vile, I don't know what that is.
I was just going to go and make the counting easier by putting a break there when it was done.
Oh, okay. All right, we've got 1 for alias. That's Doug. Anybody else for alias? 2 for alias. 3 for alias. Yes. Hey, yeah, everybody counts who's here. So 3 for alias. Anybody else for alias going once?
Remind me next time to make sure Morgantown we have a vote. If I know we were going to vote, I would have stacked it a little more.
All right. So Jay, that's not a vote for alias, Jay. Okay, noted.
What? Jay, that's really wimpy. I'm sorry. I'm willing to do the work, Jay.
All right. So we've got 5 for external name and 3 for alias. So external name has it. All right. So just let it be noted in the recorded meeting on October 18th, 2017, that we're going to stick with external name in the cluster service class and cluster service plan. They're going to look like this.
Democracy works.
Only when you win.
So true.
I'll write this down in the notes here.
I can't believe we're still recording this meeting.
Should we all start swearing to make sure you erase it?
This is going to be the lost episode of Kubernetes Service Catalog SIG.
Democracy works, all. That's the lesson presented by Service Catalog.
Okay. On to 0.1.0 status, huh? All right, let me try sharing my screen again. Okay, can everybody see my screen? So, let's take a look at this one, 1421. Vila, I saw you created this. Do we actually have any deprecated fields that we need to remove?
That one says it's deprecated. It says explicitly remove this if you click on that line.
Ah, yes. Okay.
So I don't know if there's others. I was just going through the code for some other reason. I saw that and I was like, oh crap. We should probably at least take a, I mean, it's easy enough to grab through to-dos, but I don't know if there's anything else in the types that we should basically change. But this one is going to be exposed. So I would say that we yank it before we ship beta one.
I think there's the question of requires. I think we agreed we didn't know what to do with that one and we should have a feature gate for it. But it's not the same as removing it. Anyway, this one looks legit. Will somebody volunteer to do this one? VLA, do you want to do this one?
I can do it.
Okay. All right. So next up, it should not be possible to provision a new instance of a service plan or of a service or plan removed from a broker's catalog. So we have the status bit now that we set if a service gets removed. We did not add logic to prevent you from provisioning those new instances of those things. VLA is working on this one right now. Actually, there's another issue that I need to capture, although we'll talk about that one later. So Service Catalog API server needs to return proper values for version endpoint. We originally thought this could be a 1.0.0 thing. Apparently, it is super important to Red Hat QE. So Jeff Peeler's working on this now. It's like incredibly important for us for this one to go into 0.1.0. But Jeff's working on it at the moment. Next one, make API server serve open API. I think that we ought to move this to 0.1.1. Does anybody object to that?
I do not.
Okay, I'm going to move it. So publish Helm charts to a Helm repo. Can this one get moved to 0.1.1?
I'd like it for 0.1.0. Is Vic still planning on doing this? If not, I can do it. I got some cycles now.
I would just ping him directly. I don't know. I pinged him a while ago and he said he might be able to take a look, and I thought he put a question there, and I wasn't sure if he was waiting on something. Can we bring up that issue really quick? That's 7:35.
Looks like the last comment is from 8 days ago, or 7 days ago.
So I just finished doing this for another repo. Basically, I did it the same way as Kubernetes charts. basically the upstream charts. Repo does it, and I believe I can get Microsoft to donate blob storage for this. Or we can use GCS if someone disagrees with that. I don't care, honestly. Bottom line, though, it's not that hard. I'm happy to do it if Vic wants to, or Vic doesn't want to do it, or can't, or whatever.
Okay, so yeah,
we'll
it
go
sounds
talk
like
to
you
Vic.
got the action item.
Yeah.
All right. Next one is broker update semantics. Bits and pieces of this have been done. I broke out the thing about provisioning a new instance. I broke this 1420 out of this. So there's another one, which what I'm curious about is if people think, since this is like the last remaining piece of 801, if we should break it into its own issue, which is that we need to have a reconciler loop that when a service class or plan that's been removed from the catalog has 0 instances of it left, that we need to delete it out. We need to delete the resource for that thing. I've got it in progress now. I've got code that I'm about to test for plans. Services are going to be about the same thing. So my question to the group is 801, should we close 801 and just make another issue for the deletion stuff? What do people want to do?
Since it's my issue, I'll speak up. I don't have a preference. Whatever you feel more comfortable with, Paul.
Okay, I'll close it then, and I will make a new issue for the deleting the ones that are removed. So let's see. Bam. All right. Okay. So I will add that to 0.1.0. And that means that we actually we have one more issue, which is the rename of those fields. Who's going to do that one?
Which rename? The one that we just talked about or voted on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to rework my 1354 PR. I'll try to get to it tomorrow after the .com meetings. But if not, I'll definitely do it on the plain.com Friday.
Okay, so I would really like to be able to release 0.1.0 at the latest on Monday. Do you think that you'll be able to get it merged by then? Because if not, I think we have people with development bandwidth that can probably just go ahead and do it.
Yeah, I should be able, like I said, I should be able to get to it. It's actually a really, really small PR, and it's more of a global search and replace at this point because the names are so unique, it's easy to do a search. So I should be able to get it done tomorrow.
Okay. It is October 18th. I'm going to assign Doug.
And if we end this meeting early, I might be able to do it before my next meeting, just to make you happy.
All right, that would be fantastic. Okay, so then I think that we have a complete accounting and everything's got an owner. This one is me. Okay. Anything else folks want to talk about? Fantastic. Sounds like we're done.
Bye-bye.
Thank y'all. Bye.
All right. See you, everybody.